Hi, this is Kelvin Chin here coming at you from my YouTube channel. And I just wanted to give you a little kind of quick overview of what I teach on my YouTube channel. I am a meditation teacher. I am a life after life expert about living life, both on this side and what life is like on the other side after we physically, biologically die. I'll give it a little overview of my experience and where I come from. But first, let me kind of say this at the outset. When I teach folks in my classes, whatever classes I'm teaching, whether it's about my meditation, whether it's about afterlife, whether it's about teaching about issues that may help us live life more fully here now on planet Earth, while we're still in our physical biological bodies, it doesn't matter. I always take the approach that is inclusive, that is non-religious in an organized religion fashion. That's what I mean. I speak about issues that are very spiritual sometimes, but not from a religious or a cultural lens, not through a religious or a cultural lens. That's what I mean. So I embrace people from all religions and all cultures, and you may have beliefs about death and dying that are different from mine, and that's fine with me. I'm not here to try to persuade people to believe the way I believe, whether it's about death or dying, or whether it's about meditation, or whether it's about how we live our lives. I'm here to share ideas, perspectives with people, and hopefully they're helpful for you. And you take what's useful and you discard the rest, or you put the rest on the bookshelf, the figurative bookshelf behind you, and you just let it sit there. And maybe you take it off the shelf, the idea off the shelf later, and use it in your life if it's appropriate, and maybe you never do. And that's okay with me. I'm not here to try to persuade people, as I said, to change their beliefs. You are here, and I think we all are here to figure things out for ourselves. Now, can we get ideas from different teachers and teachings and so forth? Absolutely. But we are our own filters. And that's, to me, that's where self-knowledge comes from. And self-knowledge, to me, knowing more about ourselves and who we are and how we fit into the world and so forth as individuals. To me, that's the fundamental, that's the foundation of being a spiritual being, being an intelligent, a wise, a growing, improving, self-developing being. So a little bit about my history. I learned to meditate when I was 19 years old, and I started teaching meditation a few years after that. I learned TM, Transcendental Meditation, initially, and I taught with that organization for about 10 years. I was an international leader in that organization that was started by Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. Those of you may know, he taught the Beatles to meditate and so forth. And I speak very highly still today about Maharishi and his teaching and his view of teaching meditation, that it can and should be easy and effortless. He, I think, will be known historically as the person, after many millennia of many processes and methods of teaching meditation, he will be the person who will be known as the spiritual revolutionary, who said, no, it should be easy, no focusing, no concentration, no effort, no clearing the mind. He will be known as that guy, I think, historically, 100, 500, 1,000 years from now. But I moved away from the organization when it started going off in certain directions, and I still respect it and so forth. I have friends in it still, but I moved off in a different direction when they moved off in a different direction. And so what I teach now, I call turning within meditation. I've removed all the cultural and any quasi-religious or cultural trappings around the technique, and made it much more easy and flexible. 10 to 15 minutes each time, twice a day. That's all you need to do. I teach afterlife classes and so forth because in the mid 1970s, my past life memories started opening up, and I didn't even know they were past life memories at the time. That's a whole other story, which you can hear that story on some of my other YouTube videos here. Please subscribe, by the way, to the channel here if you haven't already. But there are many other videos here and interviews with me on this YouTube channel talking about how that all unfolded in the mid 1970s for me, 1977 actually. But my past life memories go back about 6,000 years now so far, about 24 lifetimes I have memories of. Various degrees of memories, some a lot more than others, but about 24 lifetimes so far that I'm aware of. In the mid 1980s, I spontaneously started opening up and communicating with the other side, or the other side started communicating with me is what happened. And then it was a conversations, plural, that started happening in the mid 1980s. So this has been going on for a long time with me. It's very normal and natural. It's not paranormal. It's not abnormal. It's not anything really, oh, wow, gee whiz to me anymore. At first it was, and again, you can see other videos on this YouTube channel where I get into great detail about how that opened up and what it was like, and what it was like physically, was it like mentally, what was it like emotionally for me on all those various levels when this first started happening, this communication with the other side in 1986. Again, I'd never taken any classes in past life stuff. I didn't even believe in past lives in the 1970s. I thought it was just something, a fiction of people's imagination, until I started having my own unusual experiences. And I did not take any classes in communicating with the other side or anything. It's all of those stuff that you hear me talk about on this YouTube channel has happened to me spontaneously. And over the years, I've been thinking, and this has been going on for many thousands of years, but especially this lifetime as well, about how can we live life more fully in the present lifetime that we're in. And so here's a couple of my books so far. I have 4 books. I've 2 done and 2 more in the works. So this is my first book, Overcoming the Fear of Death Through Each of the 4 Main Belief Systems. And again, these 4 main belief systems are not religious or cultural beliefs about death and dying. They are the underpinnings that support all the religious and cultural beliefs. So it's not there. It's through that lens, these non-religious lenses, that I look at and help people with overcoming the fear of death. This book, by the way, obviously this is the print version. There's an ebook version. There's an audiobook version that I do the audiobook narration of. And it's available worldwide. Both books are available worldwide on many, many different online platforms, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, certain bookstores in Europe and in Asia, Australia, Africa, and so forth, South America, etc. This is my second book, Marcus Aurelius Updated 21st Century Meditations on Living Life. So I'm using the word meditations here, not in the way that I teach meditation. I'm using the word more loosely, the way it's sometimes used in English language, like thinking about things. And so this is a collection of 67 essays that I've written about how to live life, just as the title says, 21st Century Meditations on Living Life. How to live life more fully with less suffering. 67 essays, they're short, 2 or 3 pages. Some are only 1 page long in the book. I suggest that you get the print version. There's an ebook version also, but I suggest you get the print version for this reason. You see, I dog-ear pages, you underline stuff. It's a reference book for people to refer to as they go through life. And there are chapters in here on emotions, happiness, love, friendship, forgiveness, the nuances of forgiveness, grieving. There's a chapter on life principles, ego, balance, spirituality and sex, being self-interested. What about being self-centered? There's a chapter on meditation in here, and there's a chapter on the spiritual. So attachment and illusion, spiritual teachings that create suffering, the meaning of life, destiny and losing a child, unbundling enlightenment, ego, karma unbundled, pettiness, fear and punishment, free will defined. Those are just some of the titles of the 67 essays in here, but it gives you an idea of the breadth and depth of the different 67 essays. I also talk about Marcus Aurelius in here. And I talk about Marcus Aurelius. Those of you who don't know, he was a Roman emperor, but primarily a philosopher. He was a philosopher king, they call him in historians. That's a picture of Marcus Aurelius when he was about 15 years old. But he was a philosopher king. He thought a lot about things, about living life. He also was a Roman emperor in the 2nd century, and he led the Roman Empire at the time, which was about 70 million people, which at the time historians estimate that to be around 1/4 to 1/5 of the world's population. But he was primarily a thinker, a philosopher, how to help people live life more fully, but primarily how to help himself live life more fully. And that's what's known. Sometimes you may have heard of these, some of his memoirs are called Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, or Meditations of Marcus Aurelius. And those are his ruminations, his thoughts about himself and how he could think more clearly about living life more fully and more happily. But there's a lot of teachings there, and I talk in chapter 1 in this book about some of his work. So those are my first 2 books that are out there already now, obviously. And the 3rd book is the sequel to the first book. So the sequel to this book is almost done. I'm finishing up editing and finishing the writing of that book. And the sequel is talking about death and dying issues that we can help overcome fears about, like the fear of suffering, the fear of pain and suffering, the fear of losing loved ones, the fear of punishment, those type of related fears that also can cause us pain while we're here living life on planet Earth. So how can I help you and all of us live life more fully on planet Earth is always the goal of all of my work. The 4th book is also almost done. That's my memoirs, and I talk about all of my development through my lifetime, this lifetime as Kelvin Chin. I talk about my past lives. I talk about the various spiritual experiences I've had along the way, and how they spontaneously happened, and what the circumstances were in the context and all of that. That's coming out in my 4th book. So I have my 3rd and my 4th book are both about 3/4 done, and I hope to have the 3rd book out soon for all of you to read and hopefully help you along your journey. But again, this is just a little introduction about me here for my YouTube channel. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already. And I hope the material on this YouTube channel helps you. That's why it's here. That's why I do the work that I do. I do it all through my nonprofit organizations. Now, here in the United States, I have clients, I have students in 55 countries so far. I teach on Zoom and on the phone. And sometimes I teach in person. So now that we're out traveling again, getting more comfortable on airplanes, after this whole COVID pandemic, et cetera, has subsided at least. Now we're getting out, so I can get back out in person again, speaking at conferences and doing classes more locally around the world. But most of my teaching is done on Zoom, worldwide. Doesn't matter language and so forth. If English is maybe your 2nd or 3rd language, I have students on every continent except Antarctica. So I'm still waiting for the biologist, the scientist in sub-zero temperature in Antarctica to call me up and say he needs my help and would like to take one of my classes. He or she would like to take one of my classes, but that's the only continent I don't have students on so far. So I hope this has been interesting to you, and please, please enjoy the videos and have a great life if we never meet face to face. Again, take care. KelvinChin.org is one of my websites. I have 4 websites. You can go to the bottom of any page on any of my websites and you'll see hot links to the other 3. So go to kelvinchin.org and then you can connect to all the other websites. Have a great day. Take care.